And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Truth Quest. Just one little moment here. Welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarty. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. And today we have a returning friend, Stephen Anthony Cefalo.
Hello.
Extraordinaire. Welcome, Steve. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Aaron?
Well, if I was doing any better, I'd be you. Always true.
So we are one.
Yes.
You are me.
I just got to say, I had a lot of positive comments from the last show we did. So it's a pleasure to have you back on. I know you're a very busy guy.
Yeah, and getting busier. I'm in the process of moving. I'll be moving to South Carolina, to Charleston.
Wow.
Later this month.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yes, very.
Wow. So, South Carolina.
And so we'll be. I'm also trying to, of course, complete this graphic novel. At this point, I won't tell you how far along we are. We have quite a bit to go, but we'll almost certainly be done with the artwork by August this year. It's kept being pushed back by no fault of mine or Corey's. It was a lot of other issues standing in the way, but all those things are sort of out of the way, and the way is paved and clear, and we're kind of going full speed ahead with this.
Awesome. Yes. Boy, Corey Good posted a couple pictures from that graphic novel. I think he said, now maybe he didn't run this by you first, but I am going by memory now. I think he said that 60 pages were done.
60 pages are close to done. Yeah. And so that would be half of the graphic novel.
That is a lot of drawing.
It's a lot. And when you look at it, when you see the level of realism that we're putting into these pages too, it's kind of something I've never seen before. And I have a feeling a lot of other people will not have seen something like it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have this thing come out. I'm gonna share my screen here and show the people a couple of the frames that Corey shared.
Yeah.
Okay, now this one you should be seeing Corey at the bottom with like a reptilian in the middle.
Yep, that's it. And so we have, this is the reptilian interrogation scene. And Corey is there as a teenager, and he's empathically telling whether the ET is telling the truth or not. He says he's lying, and then the ET gets fried, sitting there, and that page is done.
And then he wants to stop doing that kind of work because it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
Like he caused the death of that creature.
Yeah, and he is also feeling the pain of these creatures.
Of course. You know, I cannot watch the movies with a lot of gore because I will feel the pain as well. So I must be along those lines.
I'm not a fan of gore either. I think for me, having being such a fan and such a lover of the human form, it really disturbs me to see it be violence to be done against the body, even when it's fake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's fake, but it's not something I like to ponder too much.
Well, that's why I'm hoping that this new era of entertainment is going to bring, a lot of non-violent choices to people. Whereas now, I mean, everything is, violence infused.
Well, at least, gratuitous violence. I think Chuck was kind of talking about this the other day too, how there's a degree of violence that's fun, like it is, there's violence in the book. I mean, this is violent.
Right.
There's, reptilian getting fried. There's scenes with people duking it out and car chases and stuff like that. And that's all good fun. But I think what we don't like to see is the gore, which is like, unnecessary glorification of people being sort of mangled and disfigured.
Yeah. It's a shame. I mean, the turtles had it right. I mean, they got that protective shell. They can tuck in anytime. If we had an exoskeleton, but then it wouldn't be. I mean, you couldn't like touch as good, with an exoskeleton.
Supposedly, they do have the exoskeleton suits in the secret space program.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard who Emery Smith talking about.
Yeah,
like that. It like tightens up to your body and kind of becomes one with your body, and then like you can't take it off for like a couple days or something.
That's right. And the Anshar supposedly have something like an exoskeleton suit that they wear when they grow to be, they keep growing. And when they reach a certain height, they become old, frail, and very tall. And these suits kind of help keep their bodies intact.
Together, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We have another page there, right? After this one?
Yes.
And I have a sort of a disclaimer about the next page.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a scene from the Crystal Cavern, and they're interfacing with the young people in the programs are interfacing with these crystals, and this is supposed to be Ari. That's not actually Ari, so I replaced her with Ari. There's another Anshar in the story, and but this will be replaced or has been replaced with Ari, and her mouth is actually open to have to be talking, saying those words.
So that's the placeholder for where she goes.
Yes.
Very, very good. But it looks similar to that?
Very similar. Yeah, almost identical.
Okay.
But more Ari's features.
Well, and now at that picture of the Crystal Cavern, is that pretty much, did you run that by Corey and say, hey, did it kind of look like this? Is that what it looked like?
Well, it goes the other way. It's like Corey gives me very detailed descriptions and all kinds of imagery, and says it looks like this, and then and then I work as hard as I can to get at his description.
So it goes through a couple of reiterations, you're saying?
Yeah, there's a long approval process getting the images to where they meet Corey's descriptions. So,
but that's important. That is,
yes, the accuracy is very important to me. I do not take it lightly.
Yeah, so well, you're the right guy for the job, and I hear also they just added another fella, and it's helping to move the thing along even quicker, right?
Yeah. So we have we added Ulysses Carpintero. I think he lives in. I hope I don't get this wrong. I think he lives in Argentina. I'm not sure about that.
Somewhere on planet Earth, somewhere from Earth.
Somewhere in South America, and he's laying out the pages now. So and he's very experienced in sequential art, and
Okay.
we've hired him on as the layout artist, and then I'm doing all the sort of painting work on top of it.
Wow.
And it's such a great team. Like, we just work so well together. We have very similar compositional sensibilities. We both like things to be very dynamic and spatial. Like, we really like to use the 3-dimensional space and put things way in front and way in back. That really deep space.
Wow. And those creatures above where Ari is going to be, and above the crystal cavern, that is a reptilian. It's the one from the inner Earth.
The raptors, yeah.
Raptors.
Yeah.
That had kind of those spiky feather things on there.
Right. Yeah.
That looks just how I was imagining it. You did a great job of according to what I was imagining.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked very closely to Corey's description.
Wow. That's fantastic. And the crystals were like that purplish, pinkish.
Well, they're all different colors. So the crystals, they store information, I think, and they have this plasma energy moving through them that might look like electricity or lightning of different colors. And then so the crystals, I don't know if they're alive and conscious in themselves, or they just sort of hold memory and consciousness. But Corey learns to interface with the crystals in that way.
Yes, and in my interview with Corey, I asked him, what message did you get from these creatures? He said he didn't know it was such an incredible download. It's like, boom, and like he couldn't even perceive it. But Ari, when they did the mind meld, then she could see it all, and he could see it with her, kind of, and her life too. So yeah, and so now I can't remember where I heard this, but I heard this somewhere. Someone said these giant crystals were put, below the surface of the earth to be kind of our spiritual guardians, the things that we pray to, and that will answer our prayers. And so that might be what they are, whether they're alive, like you said, or a machine, or maybe a combination. Wow. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I've always, crystals always intrigued me, but I'm reluctant to touch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a piece of quartz. I felt very drawn to this big piece of. I don't know much about crystals. There are a lot of friends who are just wild about rocks and crystals, but I don't know much about them, and I wish I got it a little bit better. But I got this one, and if I hold it and I lie down, I can feel vibration in my feet, like plain as day. And then if I let go of it, the vibration stops.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And they grow. They grow, but they grow geometrically. So very different from if they're a life form, and they're constantly vibrating. So I think they probably are some sort of life form.
Yeah, I would agree.
Crystalline life form, right?
Yeah. Well, I kind of think there's probably some form of consciousness in everything, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm going to take that off now. Is that okay?
Yes.
It is fun to look at, though.
Yeah, it's beautiful to look back at.
They're wearing those like little orange or yellow hazmat suits, huh? Because
yeah, that's pretty standard, I think, for visiting these caves.
Now, if I remember the story correctly, Ka'ari said that they have not been able to view these crystals because it was taken over by somewhat insectoids or
Hmm.
reptilians or something. And I think it was insectoids.
Okay.
I can't remember, but uh, so then, what did this Speaker Space program do to get those kids down? I mean, did they have to feed them one kid to let the other kids down?
Yeah, I don't know.
You
That's a
know?
question for Corey.
Yeah. Wow. So now, if anybody is on Facebook, look this guy up and send him a friend request. Maybe he'll friend you because he posts beautiful artwork all the time. That
Thank you.
that I mean, this guy. I mean, he's been pumping out beautiful, like museum quality works of art since the age of 20, and he's constantly putting more out there. It's like, oh, this is from tonight's class. What? What?
Yeah, I taught figure drawing and figure painting and portrait for a long, long time, since about 2003
Mm-hmm.
to recently. Uh, and I had multiple classes during the week. I would just kind of I had classes back to back, and then I had open figure drawing sessions. I was just cranking them like I
Mm-hmm.
mean all week long. I was just making stuff, and then I
Wow.
went home, and then I was working on my own pieces on top of that. So I was just like making stuff, and posting it like crazy. And then I burned out like after after the divorce. I moved to New York City, and I felt like, man, I just don't have any more pieces in me right now, and and I felt like changing direction, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I felt myself drawn to back to comics, which was kind of like I wouldn't say it was my first love, but it was one of my first loves as an adolescent. Um, of course, was comics, and it was the thing that got me into the figure was comics,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started reading uh, sort of comic theory books, on making comics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I started kind of sketching out comics. And then and then at the same time, I was listening to these Corey Good, or not just Corey Good, but I was listening to these podcasts about whistleblower stuff. All that stuff was kind of becoming hot,
Mm-hmm.
and then when Corey mentioned that he was thinking of doing a graphic novel, I knew it was my project. I knew I had to be part of this in some capacity.
Looks like we have some people in the chat. Jacob Waters is there. Hello, River Speak. Hello,
River speak.
Cajun Jules and Melissa. Jane Middleton. Hello. How are you?
Let's see if I can see the. Oh, I can't see the chat because I don't have YouTube up. Okay, that's
Well,
okay. I'll see it later.
I'll keep you abreast of it. Well, as good as I can.
All right.
I was right.
Yeah, I would love to hear their questions and stuff or comments.
Ask questions.
Maybe I can pull my. I'll see if I can pull it up on my phone and multitask.
Hi from
We got some dead air over here, Aaron.
Arlia. Well, I was typing. I can't. It's funny. As far as multitasking goes, there's only one way that a guy can multitask, and women can do it all day long. There's only one way a guy can do it. A guy can take out 2 bags of garbage at the same time. That's it. I tried.
Oh, I have funny stories about that.
Oh, you know what? Here's a funny art story you might like. You know, I used to teach daycare, and one of the fun things that we used to do is we tape the paper down on the floor, and we take our shoes and socks off. We put the
Yeah.
pencils or crayons between our toes and draw with our feet, and you get some really cool, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that.
So that's pretty cool.
Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm seeing the chat as somewhat delayed. Okay. Oh yeah, Melissa. Cool.
Glad it happened on this vid. Well, we're glad you're here too. We're really glad you're here. Share this out. Share it out. We've got 15 people here. Let's get the party rolling.
This is great. Melissa says, your artwork blows me away, Stephen. But the first line said, your artwork blows. And I was like, oh man, somebody's clowning me. But she was actually saying something very nice.
Yes, that's funny. I must have a wider screen because on mine, the top one says, your artwork blows me away, Stephen. Hello. So.
Okay, and River says,
Sorry,
hey. So, hey, back at you, River.
Hello, gentlemen.
Okay, River also says, can Steve share some of his personal experiences with UFO stuff?
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Okay. And I'm sorry if I interrupted you. Did you have something to say, Aaron?
Oh, me? Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm just going to sit back here and listen to you guys.
Okay, right on.
My job easy.
Okay. Okay, UFOs for sure. Okay, so as a kid, okay, I have one that's sort of a maybe UFO experience. So as a kid, this is a story I often tell. I was a sleepwalker, okay, and sometimes my parents would find me in the bathtub or something at different locations. One night, I had what I kind of thought about as a lucid dream, and but I walked into or I didn't remember walking into the living room. Okay, I woke up kneeling on the couch, looking out the window. Okay, this is a like suburb, like a suburban, say, townhomes in New Jersey, and I'm looking out at the street and looking at a classic flying saucer, okay, sitting on the front lawn, and with the lights and everything. Like I was very obsessed with ET when I was a kid, and this was like the perfect, flying saucer from ET or The Greatest American Hero or from what was it, like Close Encounters, sitting there on the front lawn. It was kind of like one of those, it was all a dream or was it moments, because I woke up on the couch in the morning.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And in a dream, the room's different, the room's
Right.
different, but in this, it was exactly the same. So it was, I think, either a UFO, either like an actual flying saucer or a screen memory or something like that. I also had really similar. I had nightmares that were like where the way that David Wilcock describes, with the faces blurred out and people all looking down at me with their faces blurred out. So that was really freaky when he talked about that. I don't think that I was part of any kind of programs. People try to convince me that I must be SSP. It wouldn't surprise me if I was somehow kind of experimented on or something like that. But I don't feel like I have that kind of trauma that people have when they've been through the programs.
Maybe you were like the secret space program's chief artist and you just painted all the people.
Yes. I like to think something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had certain people, intuitives, tell me things like that, but I don't take it all that seriously.
Mhm.
But I think, okay, maybe.
Right. I've had people tell me they've seen me on a ship, and it's like, well, I don't know about that.
Right. It's kind of cool to wonder, but I don't have any hard evidence of anything like that. Okay, so I would say the experience is kind of stopped, and then way in the future. Okay, so like after I raised kids, after the divorce. And really, when I started working with Corey again, that's when all the weirdness came back. So I had I think, like, do you want to know specific stuff? Okay, there's almost too many to remember, but I started experiencing things like sleep paralysis, like where you wake up and you can't move your eyeballs. You just I can open and close my eyes, but I have no depth perception, and I can see something in the corner. But I don't. Um, I didn't get frightened. I kind of like know about these things from watching podcasts and listening to things, and so I remember thinking, oh, this is sleep paralysis.
Mm.
So I'll just close my eyes and go try to go back to sleep, and then okay, oh yeah, another time. This was really bizarre. So another time, I feel like I told these same stories the last show. Did I not?
Well, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I tried watching the last show, but I don't like watching myself, so I didn't get any.
Right. No, I hate it. I don't do it. Um, so another time I woke up and okay, this is really bizarre. I woke up humming. Okay, woke up humming, and um, my teeth were vibrating really hard, and I had this like sort of what would you call it? Like oh, this kind of moving vibration, like it moved from my head to my skull, like down my teeth really hard down to my chest, and then would start like over again. Okay,
Mm.
now I stopped humming. Okay, in the dream I was humming too. I was having a dream where I was humming, but when I woke up, I was still humming. Like actually, I stopped humming, but the vibration was still moving from my head down to my chest, like really intense in my teeth. And but at the same time, there was a noise outside, like some kind of like a vibrating noise, singing kind of sound that's happening outside, and it's like going the same, like with the same like rhythm as the vibrating in my body. So I'm not humming anymore with this vibration moving like this, and it's also outside. I mean, like really outside, like outside the window,
Wow.
for about 20 minutes. So I think, oh, this is like some kind of an event, and so I pick up my phone and I go on Facebook to see like if other people are experiencing this, and I'm the only one. Um, there's that. The impression of being visited by ETs in the night, like going, oh, there's a gray standing by my bed or something, like being woken up by things like that.
Really? Wow.
Not exactly seeing them, but also flashes in the sky, um, things shooting in the sky, very bright, very long, kind of, things that may or may not be other types of phenomena. But yeah, I can't say like I can't say I've seen like a whole lot of things that can't be in some way explained, but enough things to where it seems more than coincidental.
Yeah. Well, it looks like River Speak in the chat says the humming. I have had the same
Oh
quite a few
yeah.
times. Quite a few times. That's really interesting. Well, you're probably raising your vibration.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is these events seem correlated with certain like abilities. So like at the same time, like I start getting abilities. I don't want to call them abilities, but I start realizing, or like when I meditate, I start being able to sort of like remote view and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it could be some kind of an upgrade experience.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, when you said the craft was sitting down, the first one you talked about, so it was actually sitting on the ground when you saw it.
Yes, like as a kid.
But you don't know if you were dreaming. You might have been dreaming.
Yes, it may have been like a lucid dream.
Yeah. Wow.
But I had really intense lucid dreams when I was a kid. I couldn't tell from reality.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I dreamt I flew down the stairs and I was flying at school and everyone was like, wow, Aaron can fly. And then the next day I'm like asking people, did I fly yesterday? No. What are you talking about? Like, well, just check.
That's cool.
I'd be at the top of the stairs going, should I try? Should I try?
Okay, River also says, can we talk about the blink visions? So, oh man, there's like so many. All right. Yes, so I get these, I call them third eye flashes. I think David Wilcott calls them that too, where either I'm meditating or I'm about to fall asleep and I get these flashes, and they're often things that are confirmable. Like, so I'll catch myself. It'll be a thing that I'll forget it if I don't write it down. So, okay, like one time it was somebody that I knew, like an acquaintance of mine, and I saw her laughing and spinning in the woods wearing a blue plaid shirt.
Wow.
Very specific. And so I just grabbed my phone and texted her or messaged her on Facebook and said, I just saw you laughing and spinning in the woods wearing a blue plaid shirt. And she said, are you at such and such park? And I said, I don't know what that is. And she said, I was doing exactly that and wearing the same thing.
Really?
And then the same thing happened. My friend David, I said, I saw you painting a black and white sphere on an easel. And he said, LOL, and showed me the painting. And he's in Indiana.
And you were painting that?
He was painting it like 2 weeks ago. So I looked 2 weeks into the past.
So you saw his.
I saw his painting.
Okay.
I saw him painting that painting, but he didn't post it online or anything.
Wow.
There's no reason I should have known he painted it. But
wow.
he was doing it as a demonstration for his students. And then I taught at that school later that year. He had me as a guest, and I saw the painting.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So cool. Yeah.
Well, you're probably astral traveling or something, or getting
yeah,
the eye open.
Yeah, and so okay, at certain times I've learned to sort of steer these visions. Like, so say before I meditate, go into it with an intention. Okay, here was one really cool one. So I was on an airplane, and there was the magazine sitting in this pocket in the front, and so I says to myself, I'm going to see something in the magazine. Okay.
Mhm.
And so I sit there and I meditate until I just nod like this. Okay. And I saw a honeycomb. I wrote down the word honeycomb.
Wow.
Okay. I posted this actually on Facebook, but then I looked through it, and there it was, a page with a honeycomb on it.
Wow.
Yeah, big close up of a honeycomb with
Wow.
honey. Another time it was I was going to see the movie A Wrinkle in Time, and and so I wrote down this whole sequence that I saw in the flash, and it was so it's like the time is longer than, like in my time it's just like a blink or a flash, but in inside of the flash it's like more, it's maybe 10 seconds. So like I saw a camera panning up a fireplace to a mirror on the mantle and then panning right. I wrote this whole thing out. Not only did it happen in the movie the next day, like I went to go see the movie the next day. I remote viewed it the night before. And
Wow.
then not only did it happen, but I knew when the scene was coming up. So there's a kid sitting next to me that I came with, my friend's son. I tapped him on the shoulder and said, watch this next scene. I'll tell you why after the movie. And there it was. It panned up the fireplace to
Wow.
mirror on the mantle and then pan right. But um, but what I find is that I don't want to do it most of the time. Like it feels like
Mhm.
it's not the right time or something. Like I don't focus my energy on that kind of thing very often. And I feel like when I do, there's something that I feel like the universe doesn't let me catch on to it too much or get my
Mhm.
ego involved with it too much.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We have all these abilities, but do we really want to use them? I mean, um, I had something, I don't know if I mentioned this last time either, but I had this thing in the past years ago where whenever I would see like a missing persons thing, like a missing kid or a missing person, and they'd show a picture like on the news, I would get an instant impression and I would have this internal knowing whether they were alive or not.
Oh yeah.
And I was always right. And, it got to the point where I started like, well, maybe I'm just guessing,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just guessing. And I remember distinctly uh, this Elizabeth Smart, this girl that went missing from her bedroom window, years prior, and her parents were, you know, losing hope. It had been quite a while since she had been gone. And I saw this news article, this was years ago, and I had this knowing that she was alive. And about a couple weeks later, they found her. Um, but then something happened. I was at a friend's house, and I my friend was making dinner for us two and her daughter, who was graduating that year. This is years ago, and she had her graduation pictures there in a portfolio. She opened up. She goes, "Take a look at these. Which one should I pick?" And she opened it up, and I got that feeling, looking at her face, that she was dead.
Mm.
And I thought, well, okay, this proves that it's just my imagination. It's nothing, it's not like a strong feeling. It's like a slight feeling. And so I thought, well, this proves it's not right. Within a week, she was dead.
Mm.
She died in a car train
Wow.
accident. And then I felt really guilty for not saying anything.
Sure. Yeah, but then then again, if you do say something, that could really bother people too. You
Yeah,
know, so it's quite a risk to take to
yeah,
do
and
like
from then on, it's like I don't want this anymore. I don't want.
right.
I don't
Yeah.
want this. Whatever it is, you know. It was really difficult, really difficult. And now I don't have TV. I don't watch the news, so I don't see a lot of those. Occasionally I'll see the ones on Facebook they post, and I still will get an impression. And if I get the impression that they're not alive anymore, I'm just very sad, and I have to just scroll. If I get the impression they're alive, I share it.
Okay, so what have you had any premonitions about more whimsical things?
Not that I can put my finger on it. I mean, I don't think so.
I'll see things that are just sort of nonsensical or fun, like say I'm gonna see this dog tomorrow. Like I saw a flash of seeing a particular dog,
Yeah.
and so I said I'm gonna look out for that tomorrow. I'm doing this other thing, but I don't know where I'm gonna see this dog, and then I see that dog. Same view of the dog, same
Wow.
exact dog. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you get it way clearer than I do. That's incredible.
Just little flashes, and what's fun about it is I'll also get flashes about other stuff, like say past lives, or things about maybe that are going on somewhere else in the world. So these flashes where I can confirm them in some way. It makes them more real when they happen. And I think, oh, well, that's something to pay attention to when I get these little pictures. And they're always something that's kind of realistic. In a dream, the physics are wrong, or there's something always kind of silly about it, or there's like a celebrity in it, or something goofy. But in these third eye flashes, it's always real life. It's always something, the rooms are right.
Wow.
The physics is right. And so it's something I pay attention to, and I write them down.
Well, that's interesting. They say time is all happening simultaneously.
That's
so
right.
If you're somehow tapping into that, you can get images that are yet to come.
Right. Well, space is too. If all time is simultaneous, then space is also. It's all connected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. Checking the chat here. Yeah, that's heavy. Yeah, that was kind of heavy. Sorry, I went down that aisle, but we were talking about paranormal things, and that's, I have a couple of things in my life that were sort of paranormal like that, and that was one of them that still freaks me out. And I did not talk about it for many years, obviously, because it was very disturbing. But we're kind of like bringing out, full disclosure is full disclosure, right?
Yeah. Well, then there's kind of a personal layer of disclosure happening too. We're all kind of experiencing a disclosure of ourselves, maybe our abilities or awarenesses about ourselves.
Yeah. What was the first thing you remember drawing? Maybe we already asked this question last time. I can't remember.
Okay, the first thing I remember drawing. Oh man. Okay, I'll tell you this. The first thing I remember drawing is, I can't even tell you what it was. Okay, I can't tell you what it was exactly. I knew I was drawing some kind of a scene with me in it and maybe family members, but I remember drops of blood landing on it, going pat, 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 landing on the drawing as I was drawing it.
Uh-oh.
And my head was bleeding. I had to go get stitches while I was sitting there drawing a picture. So what had happened is my sister was chasing me, and there was an open door, and I went bang like that. My forehead split open, and I'm sitting there drawing on the steps and bleeding drawing. So it was a self-portrait of some sort.
Whoa.
But I was bleeding on it. I just drawing my way through it. I do have a treat for you, though.
I bet it was bloody good drawing.
A bloody good drawing. This is a bleeding good drawing. Hang on, let me get you something. I'll be right back.
All right.
I have a drawing to show you.
All right. Well, thank you all for being in the chat there. Let's see. Life and death are more fluid than we realized. There is no death. Not really. That's true because our spirits live forever. And then River Speak asks, have you guys experienced seeing or dreaming about alien type beings?
Oh, loads, yeah. Oh, I have some cool drawings to show you here.
Oh, good, good. That'll be good. I think I know the address of your place by looking at your room. It's 2001 First Avenue, right?
Okay, this isn't the drawing I was looking for, but I'll show you this one. This is
I haven't seen a bad drawing from you yet, so.
Well, this might be the worst one. This one is called Stevie Punches Monster.
Oh.
And
wow.
It is from February 7th, 1979. That's my old work in the 70s. It was a little more abstract.
So how old were you then?
I would have been 3 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you still got it. I still got a drawing I did at 3 too. I don't know if I showed it to you or not.
I don't think, I'm not sure. I have one that's going to be cool too. I'll show you this.
Okay, good, good. Yeah. I'll start kind of looking for mine.
This one will be, this one is very relevant. Aha, got it. All right. This is a big treat for you guys.
Oh,
Who's that?
E.T., that's E.T.
So this one doesn't have a date on it, but that would be from about 1982. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what's around him there? What is in the background?
Well, that's a blanket that my grandmother knitted.
Oh, neat.
And so what I did, I put a little smiley face on him, see? So I kind of tied off a corner and made a pet out of him, like he had a head.
Oh, neat.
And
like
then
blanket man.
And then my sister kind of made a joke of it and put a bomb. So that's a bomb. And
oh, wow.
And the bomb was about to fall on
oh my. That's pretty detailed. And so that was 82. So you were what?
Yeah, I would have been 6.
Wow.
Wait, 6 or wait. Yeah, 6.
Well, I found my first drawing if you want to look at it. Or keep showing more art though if you're doing that.
Okay. Well,
isn't this fun, folks? Aren't you glad you tuned in?
I have a lot of stuff, but I don't want to be like running around yelling across the house at you all night. But that's all I have. I don't have much art from when I was a kid.
Okay, well that's
not
great.
A whole lot was saved, and
well, those are pretty amazing. You should frame those or something.
Yeah, I probably will.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you could get like a plain white frame and then paint the frame really ornate.
Okay, I'll take that suggestion.
That's cool. That is very cool.
These comments are coming in very delayed.
Yes, there's a delay. There is a delay, yes. I'm going to share my screen now and show you my first drawing. I was 3 years old.
Hey, Popeye?
I was watching Popeye and I was confused. I remember this very clearly. I was totally confused. I said, Mom, what is Popeye? Is he a puppet or a person or what is he? And she goes, oh no, those are drawings. I said, whoa, drawings? So I drew, very rudimentary Popeye in olive oil and my picture wasn't moving. and I made the squigglies trying to make the thing move.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, I had the same experience.
Really? Awesome.
Yes. Okay, so I was fascinated also with animation.
Yeah.
And I was very, very young, and my mom got me this book. It was a Sesame Street thing where you would make a flip book where they had different frames, different poses.
Sure.
And I didn't understand it, and I was expecting them to jump to life on the page, and I got frustrated and tore it in half or something.
I know. I mean, it kept making those squiggles. Why isn't my art moving?
That's really funny.
Now, above, I think I was trying to spell my name. It's A and then blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, that was my first one.
So did you ever get around to making flip books?
Yeah, I actually did. I made many flip books over the years. Well, you get a little tablet, draw a little ball bouncing or a monkey jumping or, all that fun stuff. I always wanted to do animation, and I started to do, to animate some characters. Maybe I'll do a screenshot on that too, if I can find it. And I ended up using Adobe Illustrator.
Oh, okay. This was
using Flash.
Okay.
But Flash doesn't work with Mac. So it was like really, I had to, bend some rules to make it work.
In third grade, I think it was third or fourth grade, my science fair project was how animation works. And I made animations. I had a Super 8 camera, and I made animations. So I had somebody film my animations so that you could view them on video. But I made a number of animations. I made a claymation and then a cell animation.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did some claymation too. That is fun. That is.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I'm just going to show you a still picture of the things that I was attempting to animate. And I did it both drawing wise and also stop motion, but this is just the drawing, what they look like. They're called the love bugs.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And if you go on my Facebook page, I have Hot Games and Puzzles page. And on there, if you look at my videos, you'll see kind of a little test video of these little guys. And the first episode's about Squirmy. He's the worm. And it's a fun little story.
It's kind of reminiscent of the Smurfs.
Yeah. I definitely took some DNA from Mickey Mouse and the Smurfs, and I
That's right.
Combined them, and there we go. There we have it. Yeah, it's always fun. It's so magical to see. But the animation I did, it's real choppy because I wasn't using an animation program.
Okay, sure.
So it's pretty choppy. But
well, it's like I've been recently making animations, and it's just too many frames to make something that moves smoothly. And I don't have a team to do that for me, and I have other things to do with my life. if I could animate 24/7, maybe I could make something cool. I have other things to do.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to put into it, and then at some point, some social justice warrior will ban it and all that work down the tube like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
I had a band that was called. I made a band called Pepe and the Pews.
Really, Pepe and the Pews? Yeah. I love it. That's hilarious.
Me and my friends would make all kinds of bands, all kinds of garage bands.
That's great. Wow. I thought would always be a good name for a band. It would depend on the type of music, though. Have you seen the kind of the street signs that are shaped like this? They're kind of square, but they're a diamond.
Sure.
it would say Loose Rock.
Yeah,
Great name for a band, wouldn't
that
it?
is. That's great. And you have a built-in logo.
Yeah, and then the first album could be Avalanche.
Right. It's almost like Slippery When Wet, the Bon Jovi.
Yeah, that's good. Now the worst band name I've ever heard, and this was a real band in Minneapolis, Dumpster Juice.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. And then there was another band in Minneapolis that had to change their name because fights would break out whenever they played somewhere because of their name.
Uh-huh.
Their name was Free Beer.
Oh, okay.
Where's my free beer?
That's weird. I feel like I've maybe seen a band called that. It's probably something people try often. It seems like a good idea.
Yeah. Everything seems like a good idea until after you do it. Then you go like, oh, maybe I should have done that. Sometimes.
So what did we not cover last time?
Yeah, what did we not cover?
So it seems like we had some things come up and we were like, oh, we should talk about that the next show.
Yeah, I can't remember. If anyone in the chat's seen the last show, maybe they can give us a clue. You know, so you paint most of the time, it seems from looking at your stuff, oil paints.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been painting with oils. I mean, really since I was 12.
Wow.
But
that's about when I was too. Wow.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah. You did an oil painting when you were 12?
Yeah, you know what it was? It was the I Want You.
Oh yeah?
Uncle Sam. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I don't know what happened to it, but it was like the best painting I ever did. And then they all got worse after that.
I had aunts who were artists. One of my aunts is pretty talented. I don't think she's done anything for a while, but a pretty talented traditional artist. And you know, I teach a lot of people. I've taught a lot of people over the years. And if she was one of my students, she would have been one of the best, more gifted as a sculptor. But she taught me a lot of stuff that was very valuable at a very young age. She taught me about broken color, taught me about anatomy, proportions, all kinds of stuff that really stuck with me. And I went to art school, you know, kind of armed with all this knowledge. But yeah, I kind of jumped right into oil painting in art school, and we kind of had a group of kids that were like, okay, we're going to be like old masters, you know, and some of our professors kind of poo-pooed this idea, and it made us feel a little bit rebellious, and we thought, no, we're going to do this. We're going to be like old master painters. And then it became kind of a thing in the 90s, and there was kind of I guess there was other kids like us in art schools all around the country that were also feeling like they wanted to do this, and it became like a movement. Now there's so many, you know, people in this community haven't seen it so much, so it kind of makes me a star. But there's so much good painting out there. There's been like a revival, and there's so many, I mean, just like thousands of amazing like old master painters that are just out there, and none of them can make money. It's like there's no market to support it.
Yeah, you know, maybe I'd mentioned this before, but when I worked at Hasbro, there was a sculptor there from Russia.
Okay.
Did I tell you about that guy?
I don't know. A short memory.
He was a really good sculptor. We had like 20 of the best sculptors. Working at Hasbro was such a thrill. There was so much talent there. But yeah, sculptors. No, I just lost my train of thought.
I worked at Nickelodeon.
So your aunt, you worked at Nickelodeon. Now your aunt was a painter.
Yeah.
Now, my mom was a painter, and that's who I was oil painting with. Was my mom.
Okay. Yeah.
And I have a picture of my mom and dad when they were much younger with two of my mom's paintings above her. One that was very, that I used to gaze at all the time and see something different. Here, I'll show you. It's an old photograph. It's a very old photograph.
Oh, cool.
And so the one above my mom and dad, that's a painting that my mom gave to my aunt and uncle. So I never really saw that until I saw this picture. But the one right beside my mom's head there of a hurricane and a tree bending, I always thought that looked like Fred Flintstone's face, like he's looking towards my folks.
Really?
Yeah, like the white part is his face.
I wish I could see that.
The black part is the tree, top of the tree is his hair. And his nose, he's got the big smile. I don't know. I always saw that.
That's the second time the Flintstones have been mentioned in the past week or so.
Really?
We had an awkward Flintstones discussion online last week.
Awkward Flintstones. I want to hear about it. What's so awkward about the Flintstones?
Funny things. I gotta see. I wish. Okay, I'm reading the no questions exactly, just a lot of fun comments. Yeah, so prior to the disclosure stuff, my whole life was about painting. It was like, oh man, like, oh, this is the important stuff, and all of my thoughts, all of my theories, all of my philosophies, and everything I posted on social was just painting this, painting that, and like it was the most important thing in the world. And I've gotten to a point where I don't feel like it's quite as it's all quite as serious as I thought it was. And I do think that beauty is important, and maybe it is part of I think that the ideas do connect in some way, like the idea of symmetry and sacred geometry, and these things having an effect on our physiologies and on our planet, and there being some kind of intermingling of beauty and love that's important in raising our vibrations. But yeah, that was my life, was all about aesthetics and art theory, and the importance of beauty and making art. And I just got so burnt out on it. And I'm almost getting burnt out on the disclosure stuff now. I'm just like, I think a lot of us are feeling a certain burnout. I haven't followed the YouTube stuff in a long time. I've been kind of going back to my roots of I've been listening to music again, and getting back in touch with art and painting and music, and just simple, but not taking it so seriously, just enjoying it.
That's cool. Yeah. But creating things, there's a certain satisfaction when you get done with something. Well, for an artist, sometimes things are never done, but you know what I mean. Sure. You've got a stack of stuff you did. Like, you go through it, like, oh my God, I did all this.
It's mixed feelings looking back at all of it, and you go, really? I did all that? Where I wasted all my time making all this stuff.
It's not a waste. It's not a waste, because
I have to move all this stuff. I have a closet, like a stack full of stuff like this. Drawings. And it's like nobody wants this stuff. Well, a stack of drawings like that. It's like, what are they doing? They're rotting in a closet. Why did I make all this stuff?
You're already doing better than Van Gogh.
That's right.
He did a painting, self-portrait of his, or self, painting of his room with his paintings, very, very famous now paintings in his room, because he couldn't sell anything. He could only give away his art. He couldn't sell it. So, but yeah, you got, and I see you post things occasionally for sale. So yeah, people, if you want some art, here, get some art from this guy. He's a great artist, and you can put it right in front of your TV, so you don't have to watch that thing anymore. And you can look at beautiful art. Right?
I like having it around. I collect art for my friends. I think that's one of the great things about being an artist is you have an art collection. And you can trade pieces out with an artist that you admire, or recreate pieces that you admire, and put them around your home.
So that was a question I was going to ask about the oil painting. Is there any other medium that you use, or medium that you use, like watercolors or acrylics? I know oils is like king because it's 100% pigment.
Oil's just easy. I find it very easy to work with, and yeah, I've messed around with just about everything there is, like from, Super 8, movies to Photoshop to airbrush, wood burning kits, all kinds of things. But no, oil is just there's something very organic about it that just flows and it feels very natural. So somebody asked here, let's see. I thought this was a good question. Who asked this? Oh, blasphemous question, Connor. Have you ever made art and burned it? It's not blasphemous at all. I have burned art. I have punched holes in art. I have stuffed art down garbage chutes. I take out a lot of frustration on art. And, sometimes it's just because it's not that good, or because I'm frustrated with the art, or maybe it's things in my past I don't want to remember. Yeah. It's actually illegal to destroy someone else's art.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's because they're intellectual property. So I can stick a knife through my own painting, but somebody else cannot. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even if they own it. So if you buy my art, you may not destroy it.
You have to give it to him to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
He wants to anyway. I used to work at Anagram. We designed those Mylar balloons and the art that went on the Mylar balloons. And every Friday it was harvest day, because we'd make balloons and film with helium, and the whole ceiling would be filled with them. We'd go with our X-Acto knives and pop them all. But then we were all talking really high after that, because the whole helium.
But,
okay,
let's see. Sorry, go ahead.
What was I going to say? Gosh, I forgot again. I'm losing my mind.
I interrupted. I was rude. Okay, there's a question here. The golden ratio is evident in the human face and body. When you capture them as gorgeously as you do, there must be a resonant effect in the viewer that's activating and healing. Yeah, and I feel myself too that there's a mutual healing that goes on. And this is one of my very favorite things about painting portraits. Okay, like I know that you've kind of made, people have had a lot of fun with the fact that I drew a lot of nude figures. Okay, but I can tell you this: when there's a group of people that are in a formation around a nude model in the center, nude or clothed, there is a holiness. There's like a hush. It's like a holy hush that happens over the room, and everybody knows they're in a sacred place.
Yeah.
And there's a connection that's happening. It's very difficult to describe, but a healing. Whatever troubles that you're having in your life, there's a calm, and there's a peace that happens when drawing the figure, and that's my favorite thing about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
But I
right.
think it's a sacred geometry. It's like open eye. I mean, I think it's partly the sacred geometry. It's like open eye meditation. Like all the ratios that you want. You know, the golden ratio, pi, phi. It's all in there. But then there's okay. And I did a talk about this too, and I kind of believe that okay, like the face is like a mandala of sorts, and those ratios, I believe, are part of the reason why we connect, like why the eyes are the windows to the soul, is because those ratios create like a vibration that create a connection between us. There's that empathetic response to seeing a face, but that you also get through seeing a body, and I think we truly are connecting as souls when we stare, when we ponder at another human form.
Yes, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And there's something really therapeutic about art, but doing art. It's therapeutic. And, you know, like you said, add on top of that, in the presence of this awesome beauty of the human figure, like you said, sacredness. Yeah, wow.
Oh, and Melissa says, I was an artist model for a couple of years, and my experience when I took my pose was as though I was stepping into the role of the archetype of a woman in whatever mood I was projecting.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I know that feeling too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool. I worked with a gal named Pamela Sweet, and I think she, you know, was working her way through art school, and she modeled while she was doing that too. She's just a fabulous artist, and she did some little doodles for me of a tree turning into a woman with one of those colored pencils that turns colors. So it was just a magical little drawing. And then I had another friend. Now it's coming back to me now. Steve Waymeyer, great artist, designer, industrial designer. I worked with him at Hasbro, and he did this marker rendering. Marker renderings were an art form that it was very fun to do, and done nicely. It's really beautiful. And he did this really quick marker rendering of like a giant 4x4 truck or a van or something. And it was very rough and very cool. He crumpled it up and threw it away. I said, what do you do? What are you doing? And he goes, that's junk. I said, I'll take that. I took it out of the garbage. I have it to this day. And, you know, years later, that was like 30 years ago, I put it up, you know, 10 years ago or so. He was my friend. He's my friend on Facebook. And he goes, I can't believe you kept that thing. And it's like, man, I love it. I love that.
Yeah, my friend Steve, he did the, he was my good friend in New York, also my boss at Nickelodeon, but he did the episode 1 comic for Star Wars. And he had all these pages, like a stack of these pages that he did, like the originals, and he was using them as fireplace starter.
Wow.
Burn them in the fireplace. Okay. And let's see. Melissa has all this awesome stuff to say. She says, I could sense within the room of artists the sacred creation process that was a silent and holy conversation between each of us.
Wow.
Even when I was nude, I felt clothed within the nameless presence of this archetype, protected. That's
wow.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's like a poem.
I know. That's beautifully written. And but see, that's what happens. You talk about this stuff, and it's so sacred and so beautiful that you wax poetic. When I start talking about this stuff, it's, you know, there's a deep emotion
Mhm.
connected with it is a beautiful, beautiful experience to both draw in a setting like that and to model for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I could model for something like that. I'm too shy. Too
Or
shy.
you could model for a portrait.
Sure, I could do that. Yeah.
It'd be a neat subject to paint. It'd
Yeah.
be fantastic. Yeah, you have a lot of character.
Sure. I could be a character. That'd be fun. Yeah, I like watercolors a lot because there's no turpentine. You don't have to, water cleans that. But it is kind of weird because then you have to use the white of the paper.
Mhm.
So you have to plan, and so
Sure.
it takes a little bit more foresight.
Okay, and Melissa says, yes, exactly. Art is required to describe these human experiences, whether visually or with words. Yeah. And I think that is what I currently sort of feel like is my calling, or what I would really like to do is to take these things that are kind of difficult to, I think, okay, there's the phrase seeing is believing.
Mhm.
And I think the problem when we try to imagine something like an ET, or like the secret space program, or a past life, or whatever, these kind of but we have these kind of wafty, silly ideas about what they must look like, or what they must be like. And so I feel like with Corey's experiences, with other people's experiences, what I want to do is make something so real, like so gritty and believable, that you get it and you go, okay. I think it's one of the things that's captivating to me about Corey's experiences is in the way he describes these events. Is there's something you wouldn't have expected about it. Sometimes it's more interesting or more intense than you would have expected. Sometimes it's like less interesting, which is also interesting in a way.
Yeah.
But it's like, you'd expect something grand, but it's something, very dry and boring, and that makes it kind of realistic in another way too. But
Yes.
but yeah, I would like to continue. I think after the graphic novel, maybe not to this degree. Like this is a really intense project that's I'm going to need a break from this intensity of work. But I would love to keep working with people's experiences and trying to show
Mm.
the way they experience it. Because I feel like when we talk about these kind of subjects, we see them as seen in B movies
Mhm.
or cartoons, or like bad CGI kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I want to help present these subjects in a way that we could believe it.
Mhm. Yes, I think that would be great. Because really that's what helped Corey's story in the first place was the wonderful art that came along. Of that Gaia produced for the show.
Right. Yeah.
And
And Melissa says feeling is believing, and boy, is
yes,
that true.
yes, it is.
Yeah, I think that emotion is the key to really connecting.
Less interesting. Why do I have expectations, Connor? Well,
Of what?
yeah, all right. Could be anything.
In general, or what?
I don't know. Well, maybe I'm missing one of the. I'm not really following this along. I'm trying to stay connected to the conversation here. Hard to hold. I'm holding two bags, but they're the same thing. So,
Um, I'm very excited about my move. I'll be moving to quite a community down there in
yeah.
Charleston. quite a community of starseed people.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I'm moving out there is to connect more with like-minded people.
That's cool. Yeah. Boy, there's sure not very many of those around here either. But
where are you located?
I'm in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, Door County.
Okay.
We have more lighthouses than any other county in America.
Hey, lighthouses are cool.
12. Yeah, but you know why? Why do they call them lighthouses? I mean, they're very, very heavy, as you know.
That's good.
My only lighthouse joke. You can't write it out because it doesn't make sense that way.
It's like that joke. Why do they call them apartments if they're all stuck together?
Yeah, right. And why do they call it a parkway? You can't park on a parkway. And there's another one too. I can't remember what it was. But let's see. Okay. Let's see. I think Connor means that we judge something as less interesting. We should be asking ourselves why we have expectations. Yeah, you know, if you don't have expectations, you know, then you're not going to be disappointed.
Well, okay. I don't, and I he might be relating this to what I was saying about Corey's experiences, but I guess I should say not less interesting, but say less epic. So
I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
I remember from one of the episodes, Dave Wilcock was asking, so what was it like inside this base on the moon? I mean, were there doors opening like this?
Right,
Like
yeah.
Star Trek? No, it looked like just some ordinary office, you know, hallway for
Right.
Earth. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Like
I mean,
bad you know, outdated furniture and
yeah, but there's another
worn
reason
out
to believe
carpet
him.
and stuff.
There's another reason to believe him because why would they have something like that? I mean, it would be whatever they.
Yeah, and okay, by default, you want to make everything Star Wars, everything, you know, 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I think that the thing that's really intriguing about Corey's testimony is like it's stuff you wouldn't have expected.
Right.
And like Corey's a creative guy, but he's not creative enough to make up this stuff.
Right.
You know, it's coming from somewhere. So like the Super Federation, it's like, what does it look like in there? And it's like, what would you expect? You'd expect it to look like something from Star Wars, right?
Right.
But it looks like a ballroom, you know, with marble and like filigree and stuff.
Wow.
Like, who would think of that? You haven't seen that in a movie.
Right. Yeah. Well, his story always resonated with me from day one.
Yeah.
It just sounded like it was true, and it just makes sense that some part of ourselves is more advanced than what we are. But you know, you don't want to. People romanticize about the secret space program. Oh, I wish I was in it. Oh, what a cool thing. It's not that cool. It's not that cool. It's not that cool because you go through some pretty horrendous things.
Well, I think that we get the good part of it. We get the good stories without having to experience the horrors of it.
I like something he described that when they landed on Oumuamua, the big asteroid that came in.
Okay, yeah.
And that was something else. That was incredible.
I think probably the most exciting thing that I would really like to be able to depict is he described a swimming pool on a moon of Saturn.
Oh yeah.
And then looking up and seeing the rings of Saturn.
Yeah.
I would love to have a crack at that.
Well, maybe that'll be in the book, you know.
I don't think it's in this particular script. Yeah, but
book two.
Yeah, well, there will definitely be. It's a trilogy.
Oh wow!
Trilogy of books, yeah, or it's at least planned as a trilogy. Yes. Yeah, but man, I'll tell you what. I only got I only have it in me to do all the art myself for this one book. I think we're gonna get a team to do it the next time.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
man, like
But
I'm working on this thing every hour every waking hour. Like I'm working on this thing like, some days 12-hour days, sometimes 15-hour days. I got to take time off every once in a while and have fun or do something else.
yeah,
But
yeah,
man, if I'm home, I'm working on this thing.
right. Well, thank you. I mean, we're so I know there's people anxious to get it, but you know what? Good things are worth waiting for.
Nobody's more anxious than Corey and I.
Yeah. Sopranos fan 11 says, Aaron, you're going to have Corey Good on again soon? Yeah, I'd love to have him on again. He said he'd do another show, so I probably should get in touch with him pretty shortly. So yeah, that would be a definite yes. And Tony Rodriguez, Free Range Brain, says you should have Tony Rodriguez on. Okay. And also, I want to continue on all my live shows. That any super chats will go to my friend Andy Bashago, who needs kidneys and he's almost completely blind, so he needs help. So if anyone donates to the channel, it go on the super chats, it goes right to him. So thank you for that. And so colored pencils, do you use colored pencils? I mean,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
sure.
Everything. I mean, I did like a few years ago, I was experimenting with doing using Crayola crayons, try to make like elevated figure drawings with those. I love playing. I just love playing with all kinds of things.
There is a guy that did these amazing works of art out of crayons and just amazing stuff for a lot of money, but you have to keep them they're temperature sensitive.
Oh, okay.
They could melt.
Yeah.
So you got to keep them out of bright sunlight. And but yeah, you can get some really cool effects with crayons.
Yeah, you can. I didn't get very good results, but you can I've seen good stuff done with them.
Yeah. And of course the Etch a Sketch too. That's always hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that.
I was a big fan of that too.
Always trying to make the circle. Oh, yeah.
Oh, when I was a kid, it was just creating, 24/7, just making something, whether it's Legos or Etch a Sketch or
Yep.
like what I was I love this about Chuck too, about Chuck Thunder. Like,
Yeah.
we just both love making stuff. It's like make a song, make a collage.
Sure.
I remember, like I was way into 3D vision, like 3D glasses.
Sure.
And then I'm like, man, how does that work? And then one day it like dawned on me that I was the same. Like, okay, I loved this phenomenon where you look at your finger and open one eye, close, back and forth. And then I realized it was the same phenomenon. And so I started trying to make my own with colored pencils, my own 3D drawings where I could wear 3D glasses and they would work. And they did work.
Awesome. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, colored pencils are amazing.
I tattooed for a while. I talked to you about that for a bit. I didn't. I think I didn't like it so much. I didn't like hurting people.
Yeah,
that was not pleasant to me. I think it was an interesting, another interesting way to connect with people. I think you can't help but sort of connect with these souls when you're people that maybe wouldn't even normally get close to. They're giving you a great deal of trust, and so they're opening up and I like former prisoners to college kids and everything in between.
Wow.
And being an introverted person, this was a really neat portal experience to really connect with people. But I think I was too old. Also, I think I was never really accepted in the scene
Really?
because I was kind of like the old man at that point.
Man,
I was over philosophizing.
you're not an old. You're not even an old
Tattoo.
man now. What are you talking about? You
Well,
must
in the tattoo world, I was old. It's a young man's
really,
thing or young
really.
woman's thing. Yeah.
It is.
Well, I think I was too old. I got into it too late, and so I was apprenticing to people that were much younger than me, and I just wasn't my thing. It was a neat risk to take,
Hey,
but
wait a minute. Wait a
I
minute.
love all kinds of media and modes of expression. I play music.
Uh-huh.
I fiddle with film and writing and all kinds of things. I've been a columnist for
Really?
art magazines.
Wow.
Yeah, all kinds of things. Let's see, Andrew's gentleman and I don't know. Oh, I think you meant.
Andrew is a gentleman and a statesman. Probably what they meant to say.
Yeah.
The last show Sunday got a little heated. The truth movement has been very distorted by the Q crowd. Well, the thing about the whole, yeah, we don't want to talk about that because I don't want to get the channel deleted. But statesman, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty intense. That was a pretty intense episode. Kind of had some uncomfortable moments.
Well, I think that, the most important part about Andrew's story is his experiences, which are non-political. He experienced technologies that were perfected by 1970, like teleportation and time travel. And those things should be utilized in the best possible way now. From 70 on it, we could have been living, in a Star Trek-like world, but that's been kept from us because they always want teleportation to put people in the front lines of the battle. But let's stop the wars and bring teleportation in. So that's my take.
I think it's also important. I think people play different roles in this disclosure stuff, and I think some people have important roles. I think in being more kind of like garish and in your face, and challenging you by like kind of punching in the face with their truth, and then other people I think are a little bit more diplomatic, and I think that tends to be more my approach.
Yeah.
But I think we have to respect different sensibilities, and
Yeah.
and I saw people kind of take it down a notch. People like Andy, they're coming from a different place, and maybe not, maybe not, listening to the same things that we're listening to, or reading the same things that we're
Right.
reading.
Yeah. There's always another point of view, and we should never, we should always respect people's points of view, because if we had walked in their shoes, we might be saying the same thing they're saying,
Mm-hmm.
and if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would, straighten myself out and say, hey, look, these people are not good people, and this has been found out about them, and but
Well, somebody said to your on here too, about the movement being distorted by the Q crowd, and I think there's two things. There's a narrative. There's the narrative, the true narrative, or like the actual post, but then there's the crowd, which
right.
gets off onto all kinds of tangents. I think just like anything else, you can't blame the source for the interpretations.
Right. It was just like Anonymous, when Anonymous was, infiltrated. It's an easy thing to infiltrate. So anything that's easy to infiltrate, I don't know. So personal discernment is very, very important in everything that we see. I just foresee that the mainstream media is going to change dramatically if it's going to survive, because it's just not giving the truth. And
I'll tell you what though, like it's a scary time to live in, and if I didn't have friends to laugh with, things to laugh at, if I didn't have beauty to get lost in, music, art, and humor, I don't know how I would get through this, these kind of scary times, and hope. Like we have a lot of, we have, there's a lot of exciting ways this thing could pan out too.
yes. Say, Steve, did you happen to see the two little videos I put out for space cadets?
Oh, I don't know.
It was
Probably.
It was a cable access show that me and a friend of mine did back in the early 90s.
I saw the drawings at least.
Okay. Yeah.
Which I thought were really impressive. But I sometimes have a bad memory. Okay. Okay, I'm reading this. Yeah. Yeah, and I think everything we want to say, oh yeah, this is part of the plan. I'm kind of like answering some of these comments.
Yeah, well,
and but at some point you go, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't,
yeah.
And you just trust God or trust the universe and go,
right,
whatever, what's happening is happening, and it's my job to stay in a love vibration and stay positive,
right,
and live my life and
right,
treat other people better.
Right. So yeah, things will get better. We just don't know when. That's all you can say. We gotta just, there's a
after
lot.
we're dead, maybe.
There are more good guys and gals than there are bad guys and gals. So that's always something to remember. The good people always win. Yeah, I'm telling them to breathe this. Yes, it's a scary time indeed when many people want to police us and into breathing less oxygen. Yes, and that's why I invented the Invisimask. So, are you familiar with the Invisimask?
Are you wearing one now?
I'm wearing one right now. You
Fantastic.
can't see it. You can't see it.
And you can breathe right through it.
It's made out of nanoparticles. The trickiest part was the stretchy elastic to keep it invisible and make it elastic. That was the hardest part, but I figured it out. And I could have made millions on it, but instead I went ahead and I teleported one to everyone's face. So everyone's got one.
Fantastic.
You never have to take it off. It's self-cleaning.
Our faces are teleportation devices.
Yes, I just teleported it right to the face of everybody. And when they said you needed 2 masks, I sent another one. So take off your masks. You can go around with your Invisimask. If anyone asks you, say, ha, 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 I have the Invisimask on. Thank you very much.
So I imagine that people come here, let's see, to talk about the weird, to talk about the bizarre. Are there any of these, anything else that we might want to cover before we go?
I don't know. Is there anything burning to you? I see someone in the chat says, Sopranos fan 11, Aaron, do you ever get kicked out of a grocery stores, etc.? No, never. I have never been kicked out of a store. I never wear a mask. There is a mandate here, although the Supreme Court, knocked it down, but people are still wearing them like sheep. And a lot of times I'm the only one in there. And I'm always smiling. I say hi to everybody and nobody says a word, nothing. So
you can't do it here in North Carolina. you will get nailed if you walk into a place without a mask.
I'll come in there and show you how to do it.
I do it. I do it here in my building where I live, but in a store, you're not gonna get past the door.
Well,
Part of the reason why I'm excited to move to South Carolina is most places you can.
Oh, good. Now, in this state, every state, of course, is different. In Wisconsin, there is a medical exemption. If you have a medical reason that you can't wear a mask, then you don't have to wear one. And that's the only thing I said to the Walmart people the first time they asked me, "Oh, would you like a mask?" "No, thanks. I have a condition."
Mm-hmm.
And they can't legally ask you because of HIPAA.
Okay.
So then you become known as the one that doesn't need a mask, and we all do this.
Okay, like I was at the gym, and I was on the row machine, and so this person says to me, "Dude, you have to wear a mask." And so I say, "Okay," and I leave. And then I'm thinking about this, and I have asthma.
Yeah.
And I have trouble anyway getting enough oxygen when I work out. So they're actually asking me to endanger my health.
Exactly. You can definitely say that. I would. My son has asthma too, and they make him wear one too.
I will. Next time I'm going to say, I have asthma.
Yeah, and even if you want to call a doctor or nurse line or something, and just say, "Hey, look, I have asthma. I live in this state. I need. Can you just give me verbally that I don't need to wear one?" And then you can just they can't ask you because of HIPAA. If they do ask you, guess what? They can get hit with like $100,000 or $200,000 fine by asking.
Is that right?
Yeah. Now look for them to change that law. So use it while it's still there. Definitely. Check your state law.
Yeah, and there's like
no law.
guarantees.
Mandates aren't.
There's no guarantees at this point to me of what could happen before it gets. What is this scare event or whatever? I'm not. I'm not. I have no predictions. I have no. This thing could go anywhere. It could get as bad as you want.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of separating myself from it, and
exactly.
not to get too hopeful that it'll get better before it turns around. But all I know is I'm not going to allow anyone to stick me with a needle.
No, me either. No need for that. No, if we were meant to have all those toxins in our body, we would have been born with them already in us. So that's the answer right there. I mean,
we probably have to be very careful with our words.
Exactly. Yes. I'm all for 100% vacations for everybody. I think everybody should have vacations.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. It's good for the soul. But I think also little vacations every day.
Yeah.
I go out every day and I get sunshine and fresh air.
And when I get tired, every time I blink, I take a tiny little nap.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
meditation.
That's how you keep going. Well, I think that we've been going on for a while here, and any more questions from the chat? Let's see. Are we getting anything? Yeah, we can't say certain words here, people. And even in the chat, sometimes things in the chat can get a channel bumped off. So,
is that right?
Yeah, that's how Red Pill 78 got deleted. Someone in the chat said something, but it's freedom of speech is a very important thing, and we need to stick up for it, stand up for it.
Yeah, we can't be bullied by it and intimidated.
No, or otherwise we'll lose it forever. And it's an important thing to be able to question, to be able to talk, to be able to give our views, because that's how we grow and learn. Let's see. How many colors does it take to get to the bottom of one? Asking for a rainbow. I don't know. How many colors does it take to get to the bottom of one?
I wish I understood that question. It's interesting.
I'd say purple. That's what I say. It's the only thing you can say. Well, if there's no more questions, and we've kind of run the gamut here, we talked about pretty much everything.
We haven't talked about everything. We haven't even scratched the surface.
What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. I think of things all the time. I think, oh man, like throughout the week, I think, oh boy, that would have been neat to talk about.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I can ask you about your dancing Elvis.
Oh yeah.
You do little videos where Elvis is doing this. He's got an Elvis on a chain, a little plastic Elvis.
Yes. So I bought that, and it was like a Christmas tree ornament.
Yeah.
I found one of those like temporary Christmas shops at the mall.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
And I used it as I put it on my rear view mirror, but oh man, it's got some moves. Like when you put on music,
yeah,
it starts bopping, and it really gets down and like gets into the groove.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like it feels the music a lot of times.
Maybe the vibration.
And then so I like to imagine that Elvis, like it's actually channeling Elvis.
Yeah.
And Elvis is like telling you what songs he's really digging.
Wow.
Getting into it. But I think I could almost learn to dance watching the moves that this thing makes.
It's not a bad sculpt. Now, when I worked at Hasbro,
it's a terrible sculpt, I think, but it may be a good one if it's not supposed to be Elvis.
most Elvis sculpts are bad. That's not as bad as those ones I've seen. But when I worked at Hasbro, there was, like I said, we had a great sculpture department, and this freelance sculptor sent in, like, I think it was 3 heads of Elvis. They're about this big,
Mm-hmm.
and they were incredible from every stage, like the young, like the 68 and then the 70s. And I was like looking at him, marveling at him, because, Elvis is a hard guy to draw. I've drawn him a lot, painted him. But to sculpt him is even harder because his features are so subtle. And but this guy nailed it. And then like 20 years later, I heard that, Hasbro's coming out with an Elvis doll. And I went, yes, they're going to make it. They're going to make one of those, and it's going to be cool. Well, they came out and they didn't use those sculptures.
Oh.
And I talked to Mr. Avery. He was the head of sculpting still. And I said, man, I was really hoping you'd use one of those, freelance examples that was sent to us. He goes, oh, wow. I do remember those. Those were great. Like, oh, man.
These days, there's no excuse for a bad sculpt because
no
you can 3D scan.
Well, yeah, and you can always pay a better sculptor too.
Sure,
Yeah. But most of the time, Elvis sculptures are really horrible, and so yeah, it takes a lot of talent to sculpt a face with such fine, subtle detail and have it come off like that.
As a Sopranos fan, 11 says, "You guys like Infowars and Alex Jones? I like him. I like all kinds of people, and I don't just watch people that I agree with.
Mm-hmm.
I like just seeing all kinds of perspectives, and I'm entertained by people, and they make me laugh or they make me think. And I'm kind of all about collecting different points of view and then seeing what I think about them. Like I like watching Joe Rogan, and I
Yeah,
I know what's like
he's
uncool about Joe Rogan, but he makes me laugh. He's
sure.
entertaining.
Yeah, he's a
Uh,
nice guy.
I like watching. I can't really stand watching the mainstream news just because
No,
I feel like I'm just being it's just straight
right.
straight out lying to my face.
Hmm.
But yeah, I still I'm I'm not I can watch and separate myself
Hmm.
from things.
Right. Someone in the chat's asking, Free Range Brain, Hasbro in Burbank. No, I worked at Hasbro where their headquarters are in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It's the smallest state in the Union. And at the time, it was the most corrupt. It was a very corrupt state. After I left there, like 84, I believe, um, an ex-nun ran for office out there, and some political office, and she got in and she cleaned house of all the mob people.
Mm,
Um, it turned out that the Supreme Court Justice of Rhode Island at the time had 39 years linked to the mob, and they were running the New York mob and the Boston mob out of the Rhode Island's government.
mm.
I mean, so corrupt. But there's one thing the mob won't touch, and that's a nun or an ex-nun, and that's what she was. And so she cleaned house. So maybe we need more former nuns to, run for office to help clean things up.
Mm.
Couldn't
That's a
hurt.
story.
Couldn't hurt. Well, is there anything else that you want to say to our people out here in internet land?
Oh, let's see. What do I want to say? I want to say, don't forget, don't forget to smile.
Mhm.
Don't forget the things that make you happy, the things that delight you. This is a download that I received last year that I would like to really share with people, and that beauty is more important than we give it credit for. Fun is more important than we give tend to give credit. Uh, you know, truth sharing, beating the drum and information, all that stuff is very important too. But I would say balance that out with the stuff that makes you laugh and makes you smile and makes you feel good.
Perfect. Great way to end the show. I want to thank everyone who tuned in and who shared the show and liked it and subscribed. And also thank you to you, Mr. Cefalo, the best artist that I've ever met. Thank you for coming on the Truth Quest again. I am your host, Aaron Moriarty. Until next time, signing off. Peace in.